This is Jerry Maynard, Senior Pastor, Cathedral of Praise. So glad you came to our website, Cathedral of Praise Global Ministry. I want to talk to you today about building $1 million network. You know, our theme of our church is maximize your potential. And one of the things that I wanted to do was to build a network, not only for my family that we could be blessed, but also that we could be a blessing to others. Creating a network and having a network of people who had power and access to money, but access to getting things done, employment, housing, healthcare, education. It allowed the church and myself to be used by God to help empower others. But I knew I could not do it by myself. And I knew the success required literally a family, a church family, a business family, a corporate family, a social justice family, in order to really build the kingdom of God and help others. But how do I build this multi-million-dollar network that I currently have? You may be asking, Pastor Jerry, what did it get you? Glad you asked. I was the deputy chairman of the Tennessee Democratic Party. I used to be the director of legal affairs and risk management for Meharry Medical College. I was the general counsel for Matthew Walker Comprehensive Healthcare Center. I also created a business that went from zero to over $1 million in revenue for our consulting business and our lobbying business. I also created other marketing businesses, an online magazine. And you know what was so important? I was able to help at least 10 churches build their brand new facilities by being their consultant to help build the kingdom of God. But I could not have done any of that without having a network. How do we build this multi-million-dollar network? Well, when I came to Nashville, no one knew me. My dad was a pastor. Church had about 300 members, ended up growing over 3,000. But at the beginning, when I got here in 1995, I had some business cards. And I saw that there were only 1, 2, or 3 black people who were always being selected to be on boards or in business deals, or were constantly seemed like they were the movers and the shakers in the city. I knew I wasn't one of them. I was young, 26, 27 years old, but I knew I was not at the table of power. I was not at the table of commerce. I was not at the table of economic development. So I said, I need to change this. Rather than crying about it and feeling like I had hit a brick wall or a ceiling, I said, I'm going to do something about it. So I humbled myself, and I then Googled or looked at who are the gatekeepers, who are the movers and shakers, who are the people of power in economics, business development, politics, healthcare, education. And when I was able to locate their name and their number, I cold called and I said, can I take you to coffee? They were like, for what? So I'd just like to introduce myself to you and get to know you better. Some of them said yes, some of them said no. But when I began to network, I got the first person to agree to me to say, I will have coffee with you. That person was the CEO of a major national corporation. I took him to coffee, and then we had coffee and we broke bread. And I just introduced myself, told him about my dreams, asked him about himself, how did he get where he was? I asked him about his vision. I asked him about his involvement in the community. After our conversation, I asked him, will you give me 5 other people that you know that I need to call so that I can develop relationships with those who are in power, with those who have literally the levers of power in their hands? Some of them said, yeah, I'll give you 5. Some of them said, I'll only give you 1. I took whatever they gave me, and then I started to have meetings after meetings. I was having literally 6, 7, 8 breakfasts or coffees every week or every month with the movers and shakers of Nashville. And by introducing myself first and then availing myself to volunteer for their nonprofit organization or help volunteer for their cause that they had, or even just saying, listen, if there's anything I can do, I'm a lawyer, I have certain gifts and talents, let me know. By doing so, within 3 years, I had built a major multi-million-dollar network. I had the cell numbers and relationships with the major CEOs in the city. I had the cell number and the relationships with the major political leaders and political games players, the persons who really, really are kingmakers and queenmakers. I had relationships with the major pastors. I had relationships with the social justice activists. I had relationships with government officials. And because I was able to do that and develop those relationships, I then availed myself so they could see the value that I could bring when they were engaged in either projects, nonprofit, work, economic development, education, healthcare, whatever they needed that my gifts and talents could come and enhance what they were doing. I volunteered my services so that they could see the value that I brought. By doing so, it opened up the doors and the windows that now I was included, and now I was sitting at the table of power. And by being at the table of power, then I had the opportunity to build my own business and to help build the kingdom of God. By availing myself and saying, listen, I'm not entitled to anything, I'm not entitled to be selected, but rather humbling myself, I was able to call the movers and shakers, introduce myself, and then avail myself. I want to say to you that if you're looking to be a strong servant leader in your city and your community, this is a tried and true way to be successful. And that is to reach out to people that you don't know, take the chance and the risk of being rejected, ask them to go to coffee or breakfast, and sit down with them and listen to them. Hear their stories, gain their wisdom, gain their experience, avail yourself, and then say, is there a nonprofit or a cause that you need help on that you would like for me to volunteer, so that you can show the value that you bring to the table to any type of project, to any type of endeavor, so they can see that you are who you say you are, that you bring value to wherever you go, and that you have the talents and abilities to not only enhance and empower, but literally to be transformative in that area. When you do so, people then will begin to conclude you on their projects, their investments. I started getting calls. Hey, you want to get on this investment? Hey, we're going to be building this. You want to be part of it? Hey, I need a consultant. I need a lawyer. Will you be my lawyer? And all of a sudden, I was able to build our wealth, but also build the kingdom of God. When you are trying to build your multi-million-dollar network, first start with availing yourself to those who have the wisdom, those who are in positions of power, those who are the gatekeepers, those who are the decision makers that can help open the doors and windows for you so that God can use you in a mighty way, and then you'll maximize your potential. I'm Jerry Maynard, Senior Pastor, Cathedral of Praise. I'm so glad that we are partnering together on this global ministry.